I don't know why we can't play A&M as our marquee non-conference opponent. And, you know, again, that's well above my pay grade, but, you know, Florida and Florida State find a way to play every year, and they're in different conferences. Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia, Georgia Tech. I mean, the list goes on of rivals, in-state rivals that are in different conferences that play each other each and every year. And so I do think it's a little bit more difficult. Those are also conferences that play 8 conference games, not 9. So you can schedule your other 3 accordingly, where we only have 2 to schedule accordingly. But if you're going to play a big boy such as USC, LSU, and Ohio State, I'd like to see us play, you know, the big boy right down the road from us.
All right, so Tom Herman, I think he speaks for the fans. I know he speaks for us, me anyway. I'd like to see that rivalry, but then he also tempers that with the reality of it. How important or big would it be for college football to have Texas and Texas A&M face each other again?
It would be extremely big because this is a rivalry that was already established.
Yeah.
You know, they had this going on for years and years down the line, and then of course when Texas A&M left to go to the SEC, it stopped. But they need to find a way, because it would be good for recruiting. It'd be good for college football. And think about the revenue that both universities will generate because of the hatred between both schools and the recruiting ability. I love Coach Herman calling out, not necessarily calling out A&M, but calling out the reps to be able to, let's try to make something happen. Now, it could be a bit difficult because in the Big 12, they have 9 conference games outside of the other Power 5. They have 8, like he said, but they can make that happen. They should.
When A&M left for the SEC, they were on this trajectory. Texas was on the other way around, on the way down. And you see what these two programs have done since 2012. I mean, A&M had a Heisman Trophy winner. They built out their stadium, as good as any in the state of Texas. They were getting recruiting battle victories. And now it seems like Texas, and you hear from Tom Herman, they're more open to playing them now. I'm not so sure that that was the case a couple of years ago.
Well, of course, you look at what Texas A&M have been able to do, especially since going to the SEC. It's been a big financial game. Also, when you look at the production, now they're becoming a bit stagnant. You know, Coach Sumlin could be under fire if he cannot win more than 8 ball games. They're tied at 8-5. You know, they want to be able to get to the double digits because based on what they've been able to do as far as recruiting, there's no reason for them to be subpar. But 2 talented universities, talent is there. Now I expect to see Texas kind of get right back to being relevant once again like they was before A&M left the Big 12.
As a player, how special is rivalry week?
Oh, very,
how
very
was it special for you? What made it different?
For me, early in my career, Miami was in the Big East. We were in ACC, so I always would circle that schedule. The same could be said for Florida in the SEC. We knew we were going to face those teams, but those were the 2 teams that we always looked on our schedule, especially the in-state players, because that was a very hated game. And we always had family and friends that probably liked Miami or Florida, not to mention all the guys that I played with on the Pee Wee level that played for the Hurricanes and things of that nature. So that's big for recruiting also, because when Miami recruited me, they talked about how they were going to dominate Florida State. Florida State said the same thing, and the same can be said for Florida.
Well, we'll see if Texas and Texas A&M can get it going again.
Yeah.
Get that blood going and pumping in their fan base down there for sure.